on, guys? In today's episode, we are talking all things tropics. The National Hurricane Center has highlighted 3 areas for potential development over the next 5 days. Brand new one that could enter the Caribbean, and then 2 closer to Africa. We're going to talk about all 3. Stick around. If you love the weather and love talking about it with other people, we'd love to have you in this community. Smash that subscribe button, hit that bell, and you will be up to date on all things weather. We are going to start with the disturbance that could push its way into the Caribbean over the next few days. Right now, it is very unorganized. Just an area of disturbed weather to the east of us in the Leeward and Windward Islands. This is it right here. This little thing I'm circling. There are thunderstorms around, there are showers around, but it's just very unorganized. It is expected to move towards the Leeward and Windward Islands over the next few days, though, and then into the Eastern Caribbean in this yellow shaded area that the Hurricane Center has drawn. That's where it eventually could develop. So over the next 5 days, this thing's going to have a 20% shot to become a depression or named storm. Watch what happens. Really doesn't organize before it gets to the islands. But in Guadeloupe and Martinique and Dominica, into St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and into Grenada, we could expect inclement weather, gusty showers, and thunderstorms pushing through as this unorganized tropical disturbance moves through the islands. Likely not going to be a depression, likely not going to have a name or anything like that, but still going to be some nasty weather at times there. Watch what happens, though, as it gets into the Eastern Caribbean. The GFS wants to wind this up a little bit. So here we go. This is early on Saturday morning. You see the L pop up, meaning that it's trying to develop its center in the Eastern Caribbean. And then watch what happens from here. There we go. This is Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So south of Puerto Rico, here we go, Puerto Rico, and the Greater Antilles, which is going to be Puerto Rico through Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. There you go right there, a strengthening system, at least according to the GFS, by the time we get to the end of the weekend and into early next week. Different story, though, on the European model. Everything kind of starts out the same, though. A weak little wave of low pressure sliding on through. You see the green through the Leeward and Windward Islands, getting into Martinique again, Dominica, Guadeloupe, even into Antigua and Barbuda over the next couple of days. This is going to be Thursday into Friday. You can expect those gusty showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies, things like that. The difference comes, though, once the disturbance gets into the Eastern Caribbean. There's not much development. So here we go. This is early on Friday, August 26th, getting into Saturday the 27th, and it's really not popping up at all. Just a broad area of showers and thunderstorms in the Eastern Caribbean, south of Puerto Rico, and south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Now, the Eastern Caribbean is historically not the best place for tropical systems to develop. So climatologically speaking anyway, we wouldn't really expect something to try to get its act together in this part of the world. So now we're looking at the Ensemble Forecast. Just like a band ensemble, it's made up of a bunch of different members. There are different initial conditions put into the model's members so that we can kind of gauge what the potential outcomes could be of a certain scenario. And we're looking here again. This is going to be on late Thursday night into early Friday morning. And you see a few L's popping up right around the Leeward and Windward Islands. Watch what happens. Start to see more L's popping up. So more of the GFS model members are starting to come on board as this thing gets deeper into the Caribbean. So this is now looking at early Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and then as we get into Monday morning. So just keep in mind, as we get into early next week, somewhere in the Central Caribbean, we could have a system trying to get its act together. You see this next cluster. We're looking for the clusters here since the model itself, since the ensemble is made up of many members. So there's another cluster here. That is that secondary disturbance that I talked about at the top of this video. We're going to look a little closer to where that thing is coming up in a few minutes. But since we're on the Ensemble Forecast, note again that that cluster tries to get its way across the Atlantic as well. Now we're looking at the European ensembles. Remember, the European really didn't have much going on in the Caribbean. It just had that broad area of disturbed weather with the showers and thunderstorms. I want to show you what the difference is with its ensemble members, though. You see the L's starting to pop up. And again, we're looking into the Eastern Caribbean now. We'll watch what happens. More L's start to pop up. So again, this piques your interest a little bit because the ensemble members are a little different than the operational run of the European. It's hinting and suggesting that we could also have some development, though, as we work our way through the second part of the weekend. So 27th, Sunday the 28th as well. And then getting into early next week, there could be a system again trying to get its act together in the Central Caribbean. So, really, anywhere from Central America to Jamaica, even into Cuba and Haiti, Dominican Republic. Something to just be aware of over the next few days, that there could be a little something trying to get going. And then if it does, the water in the Caribbean is jet fuel. It's basically been untapped. So that's something we're going to have to watch. On to that second wave. You see all those L's again. Those all aren't going to be tropical systems. You're looking for the cluster. And here is that cluster of L's again. So a pretty decent agreement here that this thing is going to try to develop. Although note that it's weak. We're looking at the millibars 1005, 1004, 1008, 1002. That is a very, very weak system for perspective. The lower the pressure, the stronger the storm. So I want to show you where that African wave is now, and it's, as you may imagine, over Africa. You see it there, the darker blues and the reds. This is the big chunk of thunderstorm activity. Beefy, juicy, tropical wave exiting the African continent. National Hurricane Center highlighting that area in yellow there with a low opportunity for development. I'll show you the update from the Hurricane Center. Over the next 5 days, they're giving it a 20% shot. Also, did you notice the teeny tiny itty bitty guy? The little yellow area right there? There's a 0% chance for that to develop over the next 5 days. This little wave here out ahead of it did have a shot, but that dry, dusty air swallowed it right up, and now it is no longer expected to develop. So while we have these thunderstorms rolling off of Africa, the environment just isn't ready for them to develop, thankfully. Alrighty, guys, again, we are moving through the peak of hurricane season. Thankfully, it has been nice and quiet, but I just showed you a little bit of an uptick coming down the pipeline with a few of those waves. Again, the basin as a whole, the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, still not that conducive to supporting tropical development, although there are signs, especially as I move over to the next couple of weeks through the first part of September, that there is going to be that large-scale change with a couple of things changing, the weather pattern becoming more conducive to more thunderstorms to roll off of Africa, and things of that nature. We have you covered here on this channel. Please like, please subscribe, please share this with your friends. Remember, it only takes one. Catch you next time.